Play hard and love big radio podcast. Inspiration on your station with the show broadcast. You don't want to miss it. You gotta listen. Good vibes and stories for you to go the distance. Bringing inspiration, stories that shine. Helping you connect heart and mind aligned. Live your best life, lift up and soar. Fueled by kumquat energy, we give you more. Play hard and love big.
What's up, everybody? It's Nick Clark and Dan Nevins, Mindful Dude Show. We're back on the air, getting back into a little bit of a rhythm. Thanks for joining us. Dan was just referring a little bit in the conversation we were just having about my dad's celebration of life. Do you want to preface what you were just talking about?
Yeah. I mean, it was, it just made me think, like, one, I never want to really think about the day where people are celebrating my life, hopefully celebrating my life. But I've been to, as we just live life, I've been to a bunch of celebrations of life and, funerals or, all of the whatever ceremony tradition that people have. And, there are like a couple handfuls of people, and no one really knows what to say or is reluctant to speak or doesn't necessarily want to speak because they don't know what to say. And then I was, looking at, everything that was happening with your dad and what a testimony to a life well lived that, the people have to rent a whole entire venue with stadium seating, to fit hundreds of people, like over 600 people, I think I read, came to celebrate your dad. And then there were, multiple speakers and I'm sure there were probably a list of people that would say like, well, I will speak too. And they had, it's like, wow, like I hope I can live a life that produces that sort of turnout and show out and just still bringing people together even though you're not here and focusing on the what about my life inspires them to maybe for theirs and maybe for their kids. I mean, it's just, I never got to meet your dad. He did a great job raising you and I'm sure your brother too. And I just, I hope that I could, that would be my legacy, is that I could be remembered in that way.
Yeah, same, man. Well, I can tell you this for sure is my dad knew who you were and listened to you plenty times. Because he loved listening to this podcast.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. There's this like funny little jokes that a lot of people wouldn't even know unless they listened through the whole podcast, just happen here and there. And he would always send me a message and say, I really like this part at this time frame when you guys were joking about this,
Oh, that's cool.
So he really spent the time to do that, which is cool. And yeah, I can't say that it surprised me that there was that many people there, but what was definitely interesting to me is that he never lived his life in that way, like seeking recognition or,
right.
I don't think I think he would have been somewhat surprised himself maybe that there was that many people there, because just everything that he did every day helped him to create a community with people. Like for one example, my Antonia, she stepped into the gallery and took over operations the best she could after my dad died. And people, of course, kept coming in to say hello and to offer condolences. And she's like my dad. She just would slow down and talk to people, no matter what. My dad, no matter what, no matter how busy he was, when I walked in there, he would stop and make me feel like the most important person in the world. And he did that with everyone. And so a story my aunt told me in the last 3 weeks here is that this woman came in whose husband had died last year, and she walked in the gallery and was having a really hard time. And my dad just stopped and talked to her. And she said that my dad told her that, knowing her husband, that her husband wanted her to go out and to live life to the fullest and to just trust that he's okay and that he's always with her. And so the woman came back in after my dad died and told Antonia, hey, the words from your brother were this to me, and these are my words from your brother through me to you. Your brother wants you to go out and live your life to the fullest, and he's okay. And she just, she just said that just made the huge difference for her. And I think my point in saying that really is that it is what we do on every interaction that we have when we have a chance to show up and be there for people. If we really just like take the time and slow down and listen to them and help them however they need to be helped. And even if it's just being listened to, I think that in those little interactions, although they may seem like they take a lot of time, in the moment when you're busy, those things pile up. And my dad did that. He spent time with people and he supported people. And that was evident when that many people showed up to his service. I was just blown away. And by, tons of stories like I just told you, there's people coming in needing help or financially or just somebody to listen to them. And no matter where my dad was financially or with time, he always took the time to help them. And yeah, and it really made a huge difference for people. So it was just a good reminder. But yeah, thank you, man. You would have loved spending time with my dad. He was so mellow and relaxed when he came to visit, dude. He was just like, he was easy to be around,
That's the best.
Not everyone who comes to visit is easy to be around.
Very true. My dad actually came here. Like my dad's never been here. Well, he came for my wedding, but he's never really spent time in my home. Like they stayed at a hotel, whatever. And it was great to have him here, but it wasn't easy. It's just, he's old school. It just made me realize, like, I don't mean to say this. I'm not trying to disparage my dad at all, because my dad's actually done the best that he can, based on how he was brought up, and I recognize all that in him. But it made me really aware of a lot of the same traits that I have. Maybe it's from my upbringing, the sort of stubbornness and these qualities that I wouldn't want to possess if I had to, pick and choose. And then they showed up so prominent in my dad that I was like, wow, I kind of do that too. Maybe not as extreme or is not as abrasive, but at the same time, still present. And it just, I think ultimately made me a better person. It's like, I really need to work on these areas of my life, because he's like, kind of pushing everyone away just with his way of being in certain ways. And I wouldn't want that for me. And so it wasn't hard. It was great to have him, because it wasn't all bad. And even that wasn't necessarily bad. It was just a, not the best moments, not the, the best way to be a human being or the best way to show up. And it was still good to hear the stories I've heard a million times. It was good for like my wife and my daughters to hear those stories from, their father-in-law, their grandfather, because I would have never thought to tell them, just because I had heard them so many times. They became something I didn't want to relive or re-experience or even think about. But then he gets to have his sort of stories and his voice in my life from my childhood present for my kids. And I thought, there's nothing more valuable than that.
Oh man, that's so valuable. I noticed that this last weekend too, just being around people I grew up with. We've talked about this before, but the stories live on, and people live on through stories. So my dad and the stories that I share of him with my kids that they maybe wouldn't remember if I just, keep sharing them, he still lives on in spirit with us, but also for me, just like being around people that I grew up with and to hear stories that I had totally forgotten about, things that not necessarily all of them that I was super proud of, but like, but yeah, I know, yeah, but some good, like stories are so valuable. And that's neat that you've had the time to be around your dad to do that kind of stuff. My dad always told this story. I think he kind of knew he was not 100% healthy like 3 or 4 years ago, because he had some issues with like his fingers and his toes going numb and stuff. And so he started looking at his diet, and he tells us he used to tell the story when he would come visit all the time about how the doctor, he went in and did all these tests and stuff, and the doctor said, well, if you want to improve this, there's some changes you might want to make. And he said, okay, well, what changes should I make into my diet? And she said, well, do you like chocolate? And he's like, yeah, I like chocolate. She's like, do you like wine? He's like, yeah, kind of like wine. Do you like coffee? Yeah, kind of like coffee. And he like kept listing off these things that he liked, and the doctor kept saying, well, you might want to limit those. And so ultimately, all these things that he loved, like popcorn, chips, all these things that he loved, he started getting rid of, and push and was really starting to pay attention to his diet. But he always thought that was funny, that all these things that he loved were the things that were kind of killing him.
Right.
um,
I feel like that's par for the course, right?
mm,
It's like things that feel good, like chasing pleasure in whichever way that manifests for people, and chasing like ease, like chasing it, like choosing it over like the easy wrong versus the hard right, uh, ultimately is no good for us. The when I feel best about myself, it's when I'm making the choices of like limiting something, or prioritizing sleep, or not doom scrolling on Instagram, and like, all the other, you name the vice that's coming up, right? And just saying no and choosing something more difficult, but ultimately more rewarding, more beneficial, whether it's in my diet or in my habits. And it's sort of counterintuitive. Like, you're like, well, I have this natural, like, I want to just feel pleasure in all these different ways. So like, why wouldn't I just do that? Well, yeah, because we're not supposed to. That's not who we are. I think we are created to be like builders. Like, um, we're created to find a purpose and to manifest on that purpose and create around that purpose, and then build something good for the world so that we leave it better than we found it. I mean, that's what I believe. And I know when I make those choices at the end of the day, I feel better, like more full of vitality, more full of life, more full of energy than when the days, because like, don't get me wrong, I fuck it up all the time. Like, don't don't get it twisted. I am not perfect at knowing, I know what I should do, and I'm not perfect at always following that. But when I do, I feel the best.
yeah,
I don't know why I brought that up or where we came from for that, but
no, it's true. That's true, man. And the same here. And I find that the hardest thing for me to do is to make the hard choice and stay the path.
yeah,
It's like
it's always worth it though.
always
Always.
worth it. Yeah. And I think that what I'm learning is that there's like a level of accountability you have to have with yourself, but also I think like community, you got to have community to make decisions that hold you upright and keep you moving forward. If you don't have that community, I think it disappears. Like my mom, she since my parents were divorced 20 years ago, 20 years ago, dude, she has had a really, really hard time, I feel like, personally letting go of that divorce and everything, all the mess with it. It was hard for her this weekend to be at the service and to have my dad's girlfriend of the last 17 years standing up and talking about their relationship that they had and stuff. It was hard for my mom, and understandably, but I know when my dad died, she's like, the thing that I was thinking about is that when I die, no one's going to be here for me,
Oh,
you know? And I'm like, Mom, I will be there for you. But I really have to take the actions to do that, to support her. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying, the reason I brought that up is that also like to make the hard choices for me in that instance with my mom is to just stay the course and stay consistent with connecting with her and helping her understand that I really care and that I am there for her. What do you think about that?
I think you're kind of right on, because it's not easy. I actually, in a way, and I don't mean this negatively, I abandoned my whole family. Like when I left to join the army, like I felt like I was escaping. And I don't know how. I'm not saying that's the same as with your mom, but they were always like, they're my family. I love them, but I don't want anything to do with them.
Hmm.
right? Like, and I think that and it wasn't because of them. It was because like I don't have this fear of like I associate sort of like the way I grew up with like not having enough, not being enough, not always in lack in the experience of lack of something, and so like when I go back, like I don't want to be reminded of it. One, and I don't want to. It's like I don't want it on me. It like I don't want it on me. And then I went
Mm.
to my aunt, my mom's sister's uh 70th birthday party and 75th. I'm a bad nephew. 75th.
That was the
And
weekend. That was the weekend my dad died, right? You messaged me
right,
back. You were
exactly. I
there.
was
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I remember that.
And I was like, these people are great. Like I'm like hanging out with my cousin's kids. So my aunt's daughter's son. It was at his house, and we were riding side by sides and like having the best time. And just we're like, oh, this is great. Like these kids. So like my cousin's kids, just like my kids, like she got them out too of
Mm.
that sort of uh and they're living these great lives, and I'm like so it gave me this sense of like renewed hope. And if I want to have more of that, I have to go and stay connected and show up to family reunions and say happy birthday and do all like I have to take the steps to be involved, because it's not going to happen on its own, because these some of my family, they knew who I am, but they don't know me. It's because I didn't show up to their birthday parties or to the Christmas thing or whatever it was, because I was too, I don't want to say too busy, because that makes that wrong too. It's just like I was doing my own thing all the way in a whole different part of the country, and just creating it for my family, and then realizing it's just as important to reach back and now bring it together.
Mm.
And maybe that's a function of age. I don't know what it is, but it made me realize I have to do more if I want to be more present in my family.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, my reunions, the last 3 of 4 times I've gone back to Durango have been for celebrations of life, so that's, but it hasn't been necessarily bad. It has really overwhelmingly been positive. My brother was there with his wife and his 2 kids. They'd never met my 3 kids.
Perfect.
So
Great.
we did dinner with my mom, and that was neat. My mom hadn't seen them for 3 years. My dad's sister, Antonia, I love her to pieces. There was a little bit of like a family headbutting that went on at one point with my other aunt. And when my mom and dad divorced, right? So there was like this kind of clash happening there, but I've always loved her, and we reconnected with her in a really big way. And yeah, so I can see that too. It's on me being far away and having the awareness that I can create those relationships to be long lasting and impactful. So it's on me to do that now that I have that awareness, if I really want to do it, and I can do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So that, I think, it goes back to what we were talking about, like choosing something bigger, because it's not easy to check in with my mom. I mean, it is easy to check in with my mom every day, but it's not necessarily easy to have like a 30-minute conversation with her every day when I got my hands full. But I can make the time for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe not every day,
Maybe once
but
yeah.
once a week or something. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not putting that on anybody. It's like what they should schedule, but it's the more
Right.
important is the presence of, hey, we have to do these things, even though they don't necessarily align with my list of goals that I have, right? But maybe I need to put it in there,
Mm.
right, as a priority, because as the world gets sort of crazier and crazier. Not to sound like that guy who just the world's so crazy now. One thing you can count on is your family, you know? And well, I don't think that's true for everybody. I think for a lot of people, there's family you can count on. And even in those situations where there's a history of not being able to count on someone in your family, there's other family that are in the same experience as you around probably that same thing in their family, because we had some of that. I don't think any family escapes that, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about without naming it, because it probably has a different bunch of different names for different people. Um, there's still people that you share the same stories and the same history and the same, and so those people would probably be the ones that would be there for you when the world goes sideways. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it doesn't. Though.
Well, yeah, and what you're alluding to too is a family isn't necessarily blood, you know, that way. Like I know when I need something, I hit you up,
Boom, and
and
I got you.
yep, and you know my buddies Izzy and Parsons, they were there to support this last weekend, and those guys they're awesome, and they were great friends with my dad too. But they told me some stories about my dad that I didn't know that was pretty awesome to hear too, but they're there to support. And then on top of that, the flip side is that as I'm going through all this shit, like that I got going on over here, it's weird how like the world seems like it's legit. It's easy for me to think, oh my God, I just got all this shit on and going on and nobody else does. But then when I started listening and getting in conversation with these people, man, everybody's got some kind of shit going on.
Amen.
All those guys, they had something going on that was impactful and challenging for them too. So it brought me back to like, just be present, man. Be present because, okay, my dad's gone. He wants me to live.
Yeah.
And also these people who are in front of me, who are my family, who are here supporting me, they also need support. And so it does really, it constantly reminds me just to stay present, as easy as it is not to be. Like to get stuck in the crud, it always comes down to like that simple thing of just be present, man. Be with who you're with.
So
Do what
true.
you're doing, man.
And we're talking about community, and I can't tell you how excited I am, really. The later this month, I get to go back and be in the Baptiste community. That we're doing a fundraiser for Small World Yoga in Nashville, and I get to not only get a chance to quasi lead along with Baron, but it's like I know that there's people from the community all showing up from all parts of the world just for the chance. I mean, sure, to see Baron, like that's great, but really to be in community with these people that we share the same sort of transformational impact of Baptiste yoga and of everything that we, have experienced and learned from the methodology, and the chance to be with those people again is just like, I'm so lit up. I'm
Dude.
so excited about the possibility of just not even just, I don't even want to say the possibility, because anything is possible in that group. Just the chance to be in the room with these people in community and in togetherness and brotherhood and sisterhood, and sort of like the sort of family of like-minded people who all appreciate a lot, maybe not everything the same, but we all share a commonality of appreciating a lot of the same things in the yoga space of mindfulness and movement, to use those as tools to be a better version of ourselves every day, or at least try to be. Although
Yeah.
I fuck it up all the time too.
And I got news for you, man. It ain't going to stop happening. But
Right?
it's just getting like every day there's a little bit of a fuck up happening somewhere. I just I just spit all over my computer. Good thing you weren't here. I sprayed it on your face. That's sweet. What when is that event? That's the end
It's
of
October 25th in Nashville.
Liz is
4:30. Yeah,
Liz
Liz
is
Vale.
awesome, man. She's really created a cool community there. Like her whole community, from what I understand from her and what I remember, is all like really service based, right? She's like doing a lot of service based work in their community there, and has like
a lot with the youth, right?
hundreds of teachers, and just like she's doing some cool stuff. So you're gonna probably have tons of people around giving you big old hugs and smiles and stuff. It's gonna be great, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm so stoked about it.
Yeah. I don't know. You may have heard this too, but on the Baptiste affiliate side, have you heard what Barron's been doing on the affiliate side?
No, I want to know though.
Something to be proud of. Certainly, he's reshaped and redesigned what it means to be an affiliate, and there's a whole bunch of like support that they're giving the affiliates. Like one of the things that they're doing for affiliates is allowing them to request Barron to come teach at their studio. So of course he did that all last year and he's doing it this year. So affiliates are starting to be able to like request, and then he's going to plan his schedule and get out and go to all these studios, which is cool. But then on the back end, there's like you can log online and you can review all the old, like we do once a month affiliate calls. I haven't been on there in a couple months, but you can review them. And then there's a chat with all the affiliate owners where they're talking about different ideas in which you can grow your classes or create, retention or, so it's business and classing and coaching and all those different things that they're providing a lot of resources, which is cool. It kind of got, for a while there, it was like a misshapen ball of clay, but,
Yeah.
but
It's
it's really,
something, but it's not what it needs to be.
yeah, so it's starting to become more and more organized, which is really great, and it's neat. I feel like he's just doing a good job with that, man. So anyway, you can feel good about being involved with Baptiste Yoga. I'm stoked about it and agree with you, dude. Those times when I'm around all those people, man, it's just like there's lightness in the air, there's sweat all over the place, and people really connect in a genuine way, and it's, dude, it's so fun. I'm stoked for you. I wish I could make it out there, but I can't.
I know. I wish you could. I wish you could too. That'd be a great. We could do it like a live episode. Dripping with sweat. Oh God, help me! Oh God, help me, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh God, help me. Yeah, I'd be there, but I got just this. Yeah, just kind of trying to get my feet after this last month. You should have seen my garage, dude. I got back. Katie, she's like, "Go hunting. You need to go." So I did. I did 2 weeks of hunting up in the Sawtooth.
That's awesome.
And had some really great chances, man. I got within 10 yards of a gigantic bull.
Okay.
And made a mistake,
Okay.
That's like, archery is so tough, dude. Have you hunted archery? I can't remember.
I have not hunted archery, but I have all the tools to hunt archery.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps not all the skill I need. Like I would say this, because if you're stalking, like I'd have to get good at really long shots because having 2 prosthetic legs and I can't feel the ground under me, it's very hard in a wooded sort of environment for me to stay quiet and move at the same time. So I prefer, I would prefer archery because the same way that I prefer fly fishing, it's like it's more connected. It's more like a natural extension of the human body. But it's probably not realistic if I'm looking at results to be the best for me, but I wish it was.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some way, like some different access points you could get, that could be helpful. I don't know the answer, but dude, it is a trip. So for example, I'll tell you one hunt that we did, which is crazy because it was right outside of our camp. We went all over these mountains in the Sawtooth, and some of them were like 3-day adventures with a spike camp and just climbing shit that was like straight up and down. But this one just happened to be right outside of our camp and through this meadow and then into some wooded areas. We just hear in the nighttime, we start hearing all these bugles.
Yeah.
So wake up 4 a.m, get some breakfast, burritos going, get some coffee going, and then we creep over there and basically the bull is just making the rounds around this forested area, right? And so we could hear when it was bugling further away, so we'd move a little bit quicker in, and then Kyle, Katie's cousin, starts calling it, bugling for it, and he's coming at us. So lack of experience for me was not knowing what it sounds like to be that close to a bull. Like I didn't know exactly the distance in which he was, but Kyle was like, okay, go up there, get in that meadow, don't get behind a tree. All right. So I'm going up and ahead of him, he's bugling, and I go to get around this one tree, around the right side of this tree, and I see a cow. I'm like, oh crap. So I back up and I got behind a tree. And I'm like, oh, dude, I had this one little window that's like, yay, but it wasn't very big at all. And so I pull my bow back thinking the bull would come through there. I pull my bow back. Saying, yeah, I said that right. Thinking the bull would come through there. And then as I'm holding it, I'm getting tired, dude. I'm like starting to shake, waiting for this cow to move. And then I look to the right and there's this bull 10 feet from me, looking past me because he doesn't know I'm there, looking down at Kyle, and there's this massive tree between me and him. So I'm like, dude, I'm so tired. I'm like tired. I'm like shaking. I'm leaning this bow on. I'm like shaking. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, if I go like this and pull back, they're going to hear it. They're going to run around. They're going to bust out of here. So I took a shot at the cow, but I missed the cow, spooked the cow a little, not bad. I don't think the cow knew what was going on. It walked away. And then I went around the corner and the bull scurried off chasing the cow, you know, so I missed him, but yeah. So anyway, every year I feel like I make a big mistake that helps me get further the next year. That's kind of the way it's been.
There you go.
Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah.
Progress. Forward motion, forward momentum.
That's it, man. One last story I'll tell you. I think it's cool. Hunting up there. My dad, I didn't know where this came from. I still don't, but his girlfriend and my Aunt Tonia, his sister, told me that his totem was a red-tailed hawk.
I saw that on your post.
You saw that? Oh yeah. And then, so I'm up there hunting one day on this massive ridge. And of course, the whole time I've been looking for a red-tailed hawk. I haven't seen one in like a week. I'm like, you know, so I'm sitting there. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm on one side. My buddies are on the other side, just kind of chilling. All of a sudden, I hear this massive rustling in this tree up above me. I turn around and this huge red-tailed hawk flies up and over my shoulder, straight up, right over. But if I stood up, it was probably like 10 feet above me. That's so cool. That close, huge. Never seen a red-tailed hawk like that. I don't know if I've ever seen a red-tailed hawk, honestly. And it just went and then took off all the way down. I could watch it, and then it just disappeared. It like didn't stop for anything, you know. And then I sat there and I cried for like an hour.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, my dad, dude, just like flew by to check on us.
He was like, I can't believe you missed that shot.
It was before that. It was before that. So it gets even better is that later, Kyle, he's like, dude, did you see that red-tailed hawk come flying through that tree trying to get that squirrel? I guess this hawk came in, tried to get this squirrel out of the tree, had this rustle, and then flew off. And so I told him that I thought it meant that my dad was like, hey, just want to check, make sure you're okay. And it's okay if you don't get it this time. I'm trying to, you know.
There you go. I missed the squirrel too, buddy.
I missed the squirrel too, man. So anyway, that was my other hunting story.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, it's always good to have those little reminders of our people, especially when they pass. You know, and like now, every time I see a red-tailed hawk, perhaps I'm like, oh, well, I get to meet your dad. And perhaps I'll let go of the bitterness and anger I have for them for killing my chickens.
Oh. my dad was alive when those red-tailed hawks were killing your chickens.
Yeah, right. So I'll let go of that because I'll like focus on, that's Nick's dad just coming to say hey or whatever.
He needs some chicken, man. He needs some protein. Oh, that's cool, man. Awesome, Dan. Is there anything that you want to share that you're like your biggest takeaway from this recording today, man?
You know what? I think my biggest takeaway is to remind myself to be grateful. Grateful for the life, the people in my life, for my family who I don't necessarily think of as much as I really believe that I should, for second chances, for rewriting history. You know, you were talking about stories before, and we are remembered through the stories that people have of us. And that really, when I didn't say it then, but I'm saying it now because I thought of saying it then and maybe you sidetracked, but I know probably, as much as I'd hate to admit this, there are probably some people out there in the world, and hopefully there aren't many, that have a story about me that doesn't put me in a favorable light. That is not great and not something that people want to remember or be around or show up for. And so knowing that, and like some of those people, maybe I'll get a shot at redemption. Like I'm not really aware of what those stories are, and how often can that be the case? Like we don't even know that someone has some negative view of us for some story that they heard or was part of or adjacent to or whatever it is. And I might not ever get a chance at redemption for those people. And then maybe for some people, I might have a chance at redemption, but it just inspires me to take a breath, and like your dad, always have time for people, because I would never want my lack of time or my lack of connection or to be present with someone because of whatever else is on my mind or on my heart or in my purview that's occupying my time, is to take time to make sure that in every interaction, I'm left with someone with a favorable story of me. And not for recognition, not for that, but just because that's what I would prefer to be remembered as in every interaction.
Right on, man. Love you, brother. Good job.
Love you, bro.
All right. Well, I'll end on saying this. My dad and I did a podcast interview. I think maybe I told you that. I don't know if I did or not. I'm just about to edit that and put that one out.
You told me that was happening and it was hard.
Yeah, I could only get through like the first 10 minutes a month ago. So anyway, so I'll put that out, and hope you all get a chance to listen to it. It was really pretty cool. He was talking about walking the sacred peaks of the Navajos. It was like this year, he was in real good shape doing all that kind of stuff. So it was really pretty cool. I hope you all get a chance to check that out, and keep following us here on Play Hard and Love Big Radio, the Mindful Dude Show with Dan Nevins, my main man, Dan Nevins. Really, dude,
Clark,
you're awesome, man. I look up to you, and this has been super healing for me to have a chance to just record for the first time since everything happened, and to talk with you and catch up with you, and I appreciate it. So follow us, Play Hard and Love Big Radio, on all the major podcasting platforms, and also for great clips with great images and videos of this handsome dude, Dan Nevins. You should follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can share that with people as well. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you, man.
thanks, Nick. Love you, brother.
Love you too, brother.
So, yeah.
Peace.